As a history buff, I enjoy finding spiritual parallels amidst pivotal events. The Battle of Antietam in 1862 was the single most horrific day of the American Civil War. Arguably, the most tragic event of the day saw the majority of General John Bell Hood's 1st Texas Division decimated by Union shot and shell as they undertook the futile task of advancing through Miller's cornfield. I've had the sobering opportunity of walking this ground on a foggy September morning, much like that of the original battle. The corn was quite imposing as it rose a bit over my head, and visibility was often limited to mere inches. I can only imagine the frantic and chaotic nature on that fateful morning as musket smoke degraded visibility to nothing, and many balls tore into the ranks from an unseen enemy, often only yards away. Imagine the furious brutality of hand-to-hand fighting that ensued as blue and gray met only inches apart. The way forward was blocked by advancing Federals, and the way back was blocked by Confederate reinforcements, leaving men no escape but to bear the awful brunt of combat's devastation. Of course, I mean no irreverence to the men who brave such things, nor do I mean to lessen their struggle in this illustration, but as I walked through that corn, unable to see the rolling farmland that lay just beyond, I started thinking of it in terms of the blessed hope. We know that we have a future beyond this world. We know that we are to desire a heavenly country. We have an upward calling, and we know that the Messiah's return is imminent. Yet it is all too easy to be drawn back into the overwhelming matters of this life and the choking worry that often comes with them. Anxieties and foreboding fears obscure our view and pull our focus from heavenly things, much like the bellowing black powder smoke that hugged the grounds on that dreadful day in 1862. But Colossians 3 bears us this exhortation saying, "If then you were raised with Christ, seek those things which are above where Christ is, sitting at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things above, not on things of earth. For you died and your life was hidden with Christ in God. We cannot be divided in this matter. We cannot afford to further subdue our enemy in giving him obstacles from which to dart to and from, giving him a chance to inch his way closer and closer due to our temporal distractions." Here I'm reminded also of accounts of the Arkanchar Drang Valley in 1966, wherein NVA troops had inched their way to within mere feet of the American 1st Air Cavalry positions under the cloak of darkness. This removed many of the Americans' contingencies that had been so invaluable in repelling previous assaults. There would now be much less reaction time, and the might of American air and artillery were unable to assist, as the coordinates would no doubt be unable to discriminate between communist and Western forces at such proximity. An illustration I learned in my law enforcement days rings true as well. You've likely heard the saying, "Don't bring a knife to a gunfight." At range, this is true. However, an overwhelming quantity of instances and studies show that a knife-wielding assailant at several yards is very capable of planting his blade within an officer before the officer's duty weapon even clears the holster. The lesson? Keep distance between a threat and yourself, and maintain tactical awareness so as to maintain an inventory of possible life-saving actions. Satan fights in the same manner. He inches his way ever closer and strikes when we are distracted. Whereas the converging armies closed in subdued by corn, fog, and musketry, and the NVA closed in under cover of darkness and concealment of dense vegetation. So our adversary closes in beneath the cloak of distraction. The fact is that this evil but cunning foe will be a threat as long as we reside in our physical bodies. However, we often facilitate the lethality of his assaults by inviting him rather than resisting him. We do so by allowing lulls in our discipline, by allowing the world to mix with the spiritual, henceforth bringing division that leaves us vulnerable. We all likely know what the word says about a house divided. The devil is that assailant with a knife bent on getting close enough to counteract our weapons through deceit. However, we're reminded that though he may have a knife, we who are properly prepared have a sword which has no draw time, but is always available and always guaranteed sharper and more potent than any counterfeit that may be brought to bear. This weapon, the Word of God, will never jam, dull, or run dry. It stands to reason, then, that the decisive factor in failure to adequately wield this weapon lies not in the weapon itself, but in we who wield it having never learned how to efficiently and effectively use it. Set a perimeter, guarded by the word in your heart, mind, and physical life. Construct spiritual defenses by which the good warfare may be waged.